Hello and welcome to Forging a Minecraft Mod lecture number 6, World Generation, Sounds and Particles. So there are a lot of things to cover here, a few different topics. This lecture might be like 10 minutes longer than the usual ones because there's a ton of stuff to cover here. I'm not going to do it in the order that they are listed, however. I'm going to start with sounds, then we're going to move over to particles, and we're going to wrap it all up with some world generation. So let's get going, shall we? Into Eclipse here, and what I'm going to do is head over to my wand here from lecture number 2 and take a closer look to the on the code here, which is the code that is being used to when we activate it on a mob. You know, when we right click on a mob, it's going to be shot into the air. What if we want to play a sound when that happens? We have two questions. First of all, where should we do it? Second of all, how do we do it? So the first question is quite simple, even though it might not be the logic solution, or the thing you might expect. You play sounds on the server side usually. Even though the clients are the only ones that know about the sounds themselves, we sort of call them from the server side. Then the sound itself, or the command to play the sound, is going to be distributed to all the different clients, so everyone in range will hear it, rather than just you on the client side, or on your client side. So we're going to play it here inside the if it's a server if statement, rather than in an else here, because we want it to be heard on any client, and therefore if we play it on the server side, it's going to be automatically distributed to the clients. And what we want to do is, we'll see a few different ways of doing this, but what we want to do is get the Minecraft instance here. So Minecraft.getMinecraft. We've seen this before, but what we want to access this time is the sound manager. This guy here, sound manager. What we can use that for is to play sounds. We can play them in a few different ways. We can we can play a streaming sound, a sound FX sound, a normal sound, and an entity sound. And basically what these are, the streaming one is sort of for records and stuff. We want to play a continuous background music-ish sound like that. So that's for records. Then we have the play sound FX. That means that the sound we're playing, it doesn't care about your position or anything. It's just going to play it. So maybe like an effect that is supposed to be heard no matter where you are, things like that. So then we can use play sound FX. Maybe you're using it to play a sound when you click in a menu, for instance. Then it doesn't matter where you are, you're in the menu, so it's fine. But once we're going to use this play sound, then we give it a location, and then it's going to be sort of played at that location in the world. So if you're further away, it's going to be less loud, a bit more quiet, and it's also going to balance properly between right and left ear, so you will sort of hear where it is. We have play entity sound as well, which can be used for, for instance, playing a scream sound when you hit a ghast, for instance. So if the sound is supposed to be like a sound that the entity makes, then we might want to use that one. But I'm going to use play sound here, so I'm going to click on that one, and we need to give it a few different parameters. As you can see, there are quite a lot of them. Right, so what we want to do here is just give it its location, and we have to convert that to a float, because when we play sounds, it will only handle them in floats rather than doubles. So target.position X. So I'm going to play it at the target's position, the one I'm activating this wand on. So I could play it at the player's location, but I think it makes more sense to play it at the target's location. But this is just the location where to play it. It doesn't have to depend on the target at all. We can play it like in the spawn area for some reason. I don't know why you would want to do that, but we can do so, and we can of course just modify these however we want to. So those are those three parameters, just the location, and then we have two more parameters here in the end, and what these are basically a volume and a pitch. The volume we set to 1. If we set that to lower than 1, it's going to be decreased, the sound, so it's not going to be played with full volume. And here we have the pitch. If we do use 0, it's going to play the sound normally. We'll take a closer look on that later. But basically, if we increase it, it's going to play the sound faster, which is basically going to give it a different pitch, which is going to make the sound differently. We can use this, for instance, to make, well, these sounds a bit more dynamic. For instance, when we hit a mob, it's not making the same sound each time, and usually that is achieved by randomizing a pitch inside a specific range. So the sound sort of gets its own bit of character there each time, so it's not the same all the time. But it's still the same sound file in most of the cases. So we have one sound file, but we play it a bit differently. Now we come to the actual sound here, and how do we specify this? What should we add? I'm going to, well, it makes no sense, but what I'm going to use here is note.playing. That's the piano sound that a note block can play. And why do we need this sound specific? Or well, why do we type note.playing here? Well, that's sort of what the sound is called. If we go and take a look in the folder here, this is the MCP folder that I renamed to Steve's example. If we go into jars here, we can take a look in assets, and we can't change anything here. That's what this readme tells us, but we can at least take a look. And if we go into sound here, we can find all the different sounds that we can work with that already exist in Minecraft. And here we have note, and inside note we have playing.org, so that's in the extension, and that's it. That's why I call it note here in the code, note.playing, because the file is called playing.org and it's in the note folder. So that's why we call it like that, to find that specific sound. But as you can see, we have other sounds as well, like that. So these are the vanilla sounds, but we can add our own sounds. We'll take a look on that in just a second. But you have those sounds if you want to play them. Maybe you want to play a fire sound, maybe you want to play a minecart sound, or yeah, there are quite a few sounds you can use there. There you go. And let's see if Minecraft starts up here, and then we can take a look on, well, not take a look actually, hear if the sound works. Right, apparently not. Well, this is unfortunate. It doesn't load. Oh, right, there you go, sorry. It's a bit slow. Here we go. Right, so let's pop into this world here and grab a wand and try to use it. I can hear slime. And, well, let's take a look now. If I activate this here, we can hear a piano sound. It's a bit weird that we can, well, that we should hear a piano sound when I use this wand, but at least it does what it's supposed to. Like that. Sweet. So that's because we have specified that at the specific location of the target, like this, we want to play the note.playing sound. But that's boring. We want to play our own sounds, right? I think that's much better. So what we'll have to do is set up a few different things to be able to do so. First of all, I'm going to head over to over here, if I open up here, to client here, this package, and inside that package I'm going to create a new one called sounds to keep my sound stuff in. Sounds, finish, and in there I'm going to call a class a sound handler that we can use. Class. So this is going to be used to register the different sounds. We can't just add them. It's sort of like the icons. You have them in your specific folder, but then you also well, register them so you can actually use them. And what we want to do is a few different things. First of all, we want to tell that this is only happening on this client side. We're not going to use this on the server side at all, because, well, you don't register sounds on the server. So there you go. That's the first step. The second step is a constructor, of course, and we'll see a few weird things here, but I'm going to explain them. Sound handler, like so. And what I want to do is the following: Minecraft Forge dot event bus dot register, and then this. Okay, so what's happening here? I'm just going to do some imports like that. So what's going on here is that we tell Minecraft Forge event bus, whatever that is, that we want to register the sound handler as a part of it. And Minecraft Forge event bus is basically a way where all the events goes through. So Minecraft Forge, when something happens and it wants to allow modders to do things there, it fires an event. It can be what we're going to use, a sound load event. It can be something else entirely. It can be a world generation event. It can be a Minecraft cart move event. It can be quite a lot of different things. And by registering the sound handler here as part of the event bus, what we can do is extract and basically look for listening to the event bus for a specific type of event. And if that event is being fired, we can run some code with that event in mind. So what does this mean? Well, it means that if we add this special Forge subscribe annotation in front of a method, it can be called whatever on sound load, for instance, sounds load, and then we have this specific event here. Like I said, we want this sound load event. Then this method is going to be well, basically run, the code in it will run if the Minecraft Forge event bus is getting a sound load event. And in other words, what it's going to do is basically, when we're loading sounds, when Vanilla is loading sounds, so can we. So if you don't understand exactly how the event bus works, then you can think, alright, if I set it up like this, when Vanilla loads its sounds, then we're also allowed to load sounds. And that's basically what we're using this for. So inside this method here, we're going to load the different sounds that we do have. But before I continue with that, I'm going to set up a help method here that is going to be used to just load a single sound. So in here we load them all, but then we can call a method registering one sound at a time, because that's what we will have to do anyways. Sound event. Sorry, sound load event. So I want the event here because that contains quite a lot of information that we need. Well, it contains some information that we need at least. And I also want the name of this sound, like that. So if we have a name of a sound and the event, then we can register this sound. What do we need to do? Well, we can use the event to get the sound manager, and then from there we can get one of these pools. So we can get a pool party now, but we can get sound pool music, sound pool sounds, and sound pool streaming. So this is a bit what we had before. When we played a sound at a specific entity, then we use normal sounds. If we play a record, we use streaming here. And if we want to have some background music, we need to register it as a part of the sound pool music, like that. But since I'm going to add sound effects, the one I want, and I guess the most common one to add, is the sound pool sounds. So if I refer to that one and then just do add sound, we're going to be able to register a sound to this sound pool sound. So that's a sound pool which contain all the sounds, and since that is specific for sound effects, that's where we want to register it. Okay, so what do we need to give it here? Here's basically the well, the sort of path, but it's set up like others. So I'm going to do example colon and then add a name and then add .org. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, it basically means that our mod folder is supposed to be called example, and I want to add an extension .org afterwards. We have that column there as well that we have seen for textures. This extension org, it's not necessary to have .org. It's necessary to have an extension here, the correct one that we're using. .org is one format that is supported. The other one is .wav, but then we don't have any else that is supported. We can't use MP3 files or whatnot. We can only use those two formats. And the Minecraft sound files are usually .org. So those are the ones I have. And if you've taken a look, if you're watching this live, we should have a well, a folder with all the sounds I'm going to use in the chat. Otherwise, you can just grab them from the lecture page. But if we register the sounds like this, just like that, so we have example colon, then we add a name, and then add .org. Where would we put them? Well, then we can go in here, and this is our MCP folder again. And if we go to source, then we go to Minecraft, then go to assets like we've done before, example here, and we go into there. Yes, because we've called it example over here. That's the same. It doesn't have anything to do with the mod name or anything. It's just because we named them the same thing, exactly like for the textures. Then we have sound here. Why have I called it sound? The reason why I've called it sound is because I added to the sound pool sound, so the sound pool for sound effects. If I wanted to add a music, so I added to the music sound pool, then I would have to put it in music. And if I would want to use the streaming one, I would have to put it in a folder called records. So you can take a look on that in the vanilla folder that we saw a minute ago, because that have all those three folders. But because I added to the sound pool sounds, I need to put it in sound here. And here we go. Here I have 4 different sounds that we're going to use today: beep.org, bombfall.org, emptyclick.org, and want.org as well. I haven't made these myself. My friend made them for me, the one who made the sound effects for the Steve's Cards 2 minigames. So thanks for that. So if we register it like this, so example colon name and then .org, we'll put it like that. So source Minecraft assets, example, and then sound, and then our specific sound. So what do we do now? Well, it would make sense to call this method, but with what sounds do we have? Well, I just showed them to you, but well, we can use it like this, but I'm going to set up a better system. It's not necessary to be able to play sounds. It's just going to allow us to play them in a very easy way. Well, it's going to be a manageable way. It's going to be easy to manage and easy to use. So like I said, it's not necessary, but it's going to organize it quite a lot. So what I'm going to do to do that, I'm going to create an enumeration here called sounds. So this is going to keep track of all the sounds that we do have. And the sounds I do have is bomb spread. That's one of the sounds. I have bomb drop. I have out of ammo. And finally I have wand_use, like that. So those are the 4 different sounds that I want to have now. If I want more later on, I can just extend this. In this sounds thing, this is going to keep track of all the sounds. So I think it would make sense to have the location of the sounds here. Location equals example. Because we're going to refer to this when we play the sound as well, so it would be nice to have it in just one location. So if we want to move them, just refer to that one, and then we can change that one. So instead of having example here, I'm just going to do sounds location, like that. There you go. So now we keep that in one spot. The second thing I'm going to do is set up a constructor of this enumeration. So we do public, no, not public, sorry, you can't have public there. Silly me. Like that. So the constructor here called sounds, and then we have a name here. So what's that going to be used for? Well, what I'm going to use this for is just to save it here in a field, and this is going to be the name of the file that we do have, like that. So bomb spread, what's that one's file called? That's called beep, like that. The bomb drop one is called bombfall. So I haven't named these files. Of course I could just rename the files, but well, we might not always be able to do so. And oops. And well, if they are called something, well, why not just allow them to be called that? And then we have the wand here. And then it's just easy to change if we decide to have another sound like wand new, and then we can just add new here. So now I have an enumeration where I define different names. like that. And well, what do I want to do with this name? Well, I can just return it with a method here, public string get name. There you go. That's most of the things I'm going to use here. I say most of the things, I'm going to add one method later. So we have 4 different sounds here, and we can just add more sounds if we want them. And now it becomes very easy to register all of our sounds. What we can do is just do a for loop here in the on sounds load. Remember, it's here where we're supposed to, well, register all the sounds. We get the sound load event. So what I'm going to do is do a for each loop. Let's call it sound and sounds.values. So remember, if you have a enumeration, you can just get all its values. We can loop through all those values, and then we can add a sound like this, event, and then the sound. But we should give it a name, but we could of course change this in the round. You might have noticed that I accidentally wrote sounds here when I started writing this method in the beginning, and that's because that's how I want it to be in the end. So sounds, and now we can just get a name here, sound dot get name. There you go. So now it's very easy to handle these sounds. To register a new sound, oh, we haven't saved this, that's why. There you go. There you go. So to register a new sound, we just add a new value in this enumeration. But of course, we could just have an array and add them like so as well. But it becomes even more easy if I go with well, with the last method I was talking about. If I add a method here called public void play. So if I add a method called play in this enumeration, then I can very easily play these sounds. So what I'm going to ask for is a x, a y, and a z coordinate, and then a volume and a pitch. You might remember that the x, y, and z was supposed to be floats, but here I'm asking for doubles. The only reason why I do so is because usually you have the coordinate as a double, and therefore, well, why not just ask for it and then we can convert it to float here, just to make things easier. And how do we play a sound? Well, we've seen it sort of already. Get Minecraft, and then we get the sound manager, and then we play a sound, this one there. But what string do we give it? Well, we need to do sort of similar to what we're registering it with. We need to give it its location, sounds location like that. Then we need to give it a colon as well, and then we also need to give it its name. Should we give it an extension here? No, we shouldn't. When we register the sounds, we need to give it the extension so it knows if it's a .ogg or a .wav, because, well, it needs to load it. But when we play it, it doesn't know anymore which type of file it is. When we call it, we just give it its name. And its name is, of course, its location, a colon, and the name of the actual file. So sounds location plus column plus name. So that's the thing we want. Here we want the well, Eclipse is moving my cursor for some reason. I don't know why anyone would want that. There you go. Float y and sorry, float c like that. And finally, we just send along the volume and the pitch. So like I said before, this system is not required at all. The sound handler is required, that's true, but this enumeration is not. It's just to make things a bit more organized, a bit more manageable, because now if we want to play the onEUS sound from here, then we obviously remove this, but what we want to do is just do sounds dot onEUS dot play, and then we just give it the coordinates. Very easy in my opinion. Target of position X, so we don't have to bother about any strings or anything. We just know that, well, it's going to work because, well, we're just referring to the enumeration. Nothing can go wrong. We can only use the values that exists. And then the volume and the pitch, we're going to see an example of a pitch that is not 0 in just a second. So there you go. We have one more thing to do though. Well, we create a sound handler, and the sound handler is being registered, and the sound handler is used to register the sounds, but, well, not really. We're not creating the sound handler. We have just a class for it. So we need to create a sound handler, and it should only exist on the client side here, right? Because, well, we said it only should exist on the client side, and we only need the sounds on the client side and so on. So where should we do it? Well, let's head over to our lovely client proxy. Here we go. And if you don't remember, in the very first lecture of this course, we actually prepared for this in its sounds. So new sound handler. like that. And there's no reason to actually save this anywhere, because when it's being created, it's going to be store itself sort of as a part of the event bus, and therefore it's going to do its work even though we don't save it in a specific variable. Right, there you go. So let's take a look of this, or well, hear the sound. So now we have set up a nice system, and then we can easily just play that one use sound from the wand itself. Okay. Here we go. So, hello little slime. And as you can hear, we don't have the note sound anymore, and it's very easily set up to, well, do what it's supposed to do. It plays the sound, no mistakes. There we go. Okay, so what's next? Well, let's take a look on the pitch. What can we do with the pitch? Well, maybe we have this is charged part here. You remember, if I right click a mob when the wand was charged, then it would shoot the mob away as well, not just up into the air. Maybe I wanted to sound differently. How do I do that? Well, I can use the same sound here in both locations, but I can change the pitch a bit. That's going to make sure that this sound is going to play a bit faster, and therefore we're going to hear it as a different sound. It's still going to use the same sound file and everything. We have wanduse.play in both cases, but we're going to hear a difference depending on if it's charged or not, just by changing the pitch there. And like I said, this is what's being used when well, when like a pitch is heard, when a slime is jumping, you know. Most of the sounds have a random pitch in a specific range, so it will give sort of a bit of a character to the sound, so it's not just the same sound all over again. Okay, so now I need to get a wand that is charged, and I don't have that in the window here. And the easiest way to do this is actually to just spawn a lot of these ships, because that's going to charge us as well. So let's see, there you go. So now I have a charged version, and if we take a look here, let's grab some zombie pigmen, and if I spawn a pigman here and shoot it into the air, we have the same old sound like that. If I use the under wand, the charged version, we will hear it's the same sound, but it's played at a faster pace, and therefore it's going to sound quite different. It might actually be tricky to realize that they are the same sound file in the beginning. So this is a very nice trick to allow you to have similar sounds, but make them sound different depending on something. Or we can, like I've said multiple times, get a well, randomize the pitch. As you can hear on this pigman, he's actually making different sounds each time. Well, that pigman did another sound compared to this pigman when he falls. That's just because the pitch of the damaged sound is being randomized, which allows us to get a slightly different sound, just to give it a bit of character. And well, let's take a look on the other sounds that we had. Let's play them from, for instance, Talent de Bombe. I'm going to change this timer a bit. There you go. What do we want? Well, we had a spread sound, so we can just do the sounds dot bomb spread. So it's not tricky here, no strings to that we have to work with. We can just do play like that. Give it the X chord, the Y coordinate, wherever that is. Where did you go? Like that, Z coordinate, and then 1 and 0. Like that. So sounds.bomb spread, just because we set it up like that, very simple. But like I've said, it's not required this way. It's just very easy. And then we can also head over to the spaceship from last lecture. That's here, and we had a bomb sound. So let's head over here and go into sounds dot bomb drop dot play. So it's very easy here, and remember, play it on the server side and everyone will hear it. So here we go, position X, so let's just play it on the location of the ship, And if we don't want any special with the volume or pitch, just leave it as 1 and 0. And there you go. So let's give this a try. And there we are. So now I need a ship. There you go, a red one. And just remove that. And now if I drop a bomb, you will hear a sound. Very simple, like that. And we will also hear that these bombs tick. And of course we have the vanilla explosion sound as well. So just adding some more character to your mod, adding some sounds. But we have one more last sound to play, the out of ammunition thingy. And we could of course play it here if we don't have any ammo. But if you remember, we set it up in a specific way so the client won't tell the server if we're out of ammunition. So what would we have to do here? Well, we have two options here. Either we can just send the package no matter what. So we send a packet to the server and tell, well, we want to drop it, and the server, alright, you can't, let's play the out of ammunition sound. Or what we can do is to play it on the client side. If you remember, I said play it on the server side so everyone can hear it, but we can still play it on the client side, and that's only going to allow the person, well, the client that is playing it, to hear it. So if you're out of ammunition and tries to drop a bomb, then you will hear it, but nobody else will hear that you're trying to drop this bomb. That might be what we want. Maybe that's a good strategy, like, alright, you're out of bombs, so you know that, you can hear that, but nobody else can like, alright, that dude is out of bombs, I shouldn't attack, or whatnot. But if we don't want it like that, so we want to distribute it to everyone, we just make sure that that packet and the sent even if we're out of ammunition, and then the server side will have to distribute the sound if we don't have any ammunition. So here we go. Where's the ship? Where did my ship go? Oh right, I exited out without it saving. So if you close it before it has saved, so we lost some information here. But there you go, that's the ship I want. And now if I drop 10 bombs, awful sound, there you go. Let's see. And actually not, we don't get any sound here. And what we can take a look at is just head over to sounds and make sure that we have actually specified the sound properly. And actually I think I have. That's weird. Let's take a look on the spaceship here. Sounds out of... oh right, look at this. Look at that. So I'm playing it at a wrong location. And that means that, well, it's going to be played, but somewhere else entirely. And, well, if I would be there, then I would hear it, but I'm not. And that's one thing that we have with these sounds. We need to, well, play them at a specific location. If we go away a bit, it's going to be quieter and quieter until we can't hear it at all. And, well, if you don't play it where you want it to be played, then you're not going to hear it unless, well, play it close enough. So because I played it with the wrong coordinates, it was too quiet, well, it wouldn't be played at all. Now, oops, I accidentally left. There you go. So now if I play it, ooh, let's move this up. So if I play it now, we'll hear that click sound, but nobody else will hear it, just because we played on the client side instead of playing it on the server side. So usually play it on the server side and everyone will hear it, or you can play it on the client side, and then only the client you're playing it at will hear it. So you can do both, but I recommend to play it on the server side in most of the cases, so everyone can hear the sound rather than just the client triggering that play sound. And that's everything for the sounds part. Now let's take a look on particles. And to work with particles, I'm going to set up a block that we're going to use the block is going to spawn particles for us, and the block here is, well, we can close all these files, close all like that. We don't need them anymore. And I'm going to use a block here called block poison, like that. Okay, I'm just going to set this up quickly. Extends block, and then we need the correct block here. Public block poison, and the ID like so. Give it the ID, the material. I'm going to use a material rock here. Set the created tab. Remember, we want to do that as well. Creative tabs dot. Well, I'm just going to use the normal blocks creative tab there. We might want to set the hardness to 1 or something, and that's not how we spell it. Set step sound. So just some normal things here. Nothing new so far. Sound. Let's have the sound stone. There you go. And finally, we want to set an unlocalized name. Set unlocalized name, and what name should we have? Well, we probably have to define the names we want to use in the block info parts here. But because I'm running a bit low on time, I'm going to copy most of the parts here. You've seen them before. I'm going to go over them quickly though. But what we have are these things. So we have a constant here, well no, a field here to store the ID. We have a constant with the key, the default ID. We have the unlocalized name, the name we want, poison block. Well, that's dull. Let's call it block of poison instead, like that. And then a texture we refer to, like that. So just like we had before, I just set up a few different values here that we're going to use. So now it's just a matter of doing that, and then doing block info dot poison unlocalized name. Okay, there you go. And we need to head over to the configuration handler, like always. So, like I said, we're just going to set up a block here, nothing special really. But then we're going to use that to summon some particles. Well, summon is maybe not the best word, but we're going to summon a particle army. That's what we're going to do. Config.get block, and then we just give it block info dot poison key, block info dot poison default, and finally we get int like that. There you go. So that's the configuration part, and then we finally need to set up the block itself here, public static. And instead of just referring to block like I usually do, I'm actually going to refer to the block itself here when I store it, and that's so I can access it properly and access it as a block poison rather than just a block, any block. And let's call it poison here. And finally, what I'm going to do is, of course, create this block. Dot poison ID, and then remember, when you create a block, you need to register it. So register, and you also need to be able to spell. Register a block. That's the one I need. So that's the poison one, and here we go with block info. And what we want is actually not the name, but the key of the block, like we've used before. And then it's just a matter of registering this name. And since we have an unlocalized name, it's going to work perfectly fine. Dot poison name. There you go. So just a simple thing here. And alright, I've actually forgot. We need to register a icon as well that's going to be used. So what do we want here? Well, register icons like that, and then it's just a matter of setting the block icon like this. Register icon, and what I'm going to do is, well, block info dot texture location. block info dot poison texture. So as you can see, I haven't done anything special. So to spawn particles from a block, I don't have to do anything special with the block itself. A particle doesn't have anything to do with like a block that it's being spawned from. It doesn't have anything to do with the item it's being spawned from. It's just a particle that we can spawn wherever we want it to be. But if we want to spawn it from a block, we can use something called, here you go, random display tick, like that. We're going to get a few different things here. And what this does is that on the client side, it allows us to once in a while display random things. So it doesn't have anything to do with functionalities. It just allows us to, well, display random things to make it look nice. Basically spawn particles. But these names are rubbish, so I'm going to rename them to world, x, y, and z, so that's a coordinate, and here we have a random generator called rand, like that. So how do I want to spawn these particles? Well, a keyword when it comes to, I'm going to spawn multiple ones, so I'm just going to loop here, but a keyword when it comes to particles is random. Particles are random. You don't have to make them random, but in general they are random. You make them random to make it look nice. A particle that just moves in a specific line is not looking good. It's looking like it's a part of something else. It's not like just an effect. So this is how Minecraft does it. And what I'm going to do is just randomize a ton of things. So the position here is going to be the position of the block, and then plus a random number. If we use rand.nextFloat, what we're going to get is the next random float number between 0 and 1. And since x and y and z and all these coordinates are integers, it's sort of going to give us an integer part and then the decimal part, sort of, so we get any location within the block. If we randomize it like this, we're going to get any location within the bounding box of this specific block. So this is where I want to spawn the particle. I always want to spawn it in a random location. But like I said, keyword random, we want it to move randomly as well. Particle motion x. And I'm going to randomize this a bit similarly, but what I'm going to do here is get an next float again. So that's going to be between 0 and 1, right? But if we subtract 0.5, like I do here, we're going to get from 0 to 0.5 all the way up to 0.5. So we have a range of 1 still, because, well, we're randomizing a range of 1. But if we're doing it this way, what we get is, well, it can move in both directions. It's not just going to get a random motion in one direction, positive direction. We can get a motion in both directions, and that's going to be the case for all the different dimensions. Float particle motion z equals minus 0.5 f plus rand next float. Right, so like I said, keyword for particles is random. World.spawn particle. So now we need to spawn this particle. What we want to do with all these parameters here are basically to give it the coordinate we want it to be at, particle x, particle y, and particle z, like so. Then we have particle motion x. So just these values that we have been randomizing. Of course, they depend a bit on the location. The particle's location, is depending on the actual location of the blocks. They will be nearby, like that. So what do we want to give the first parameter? The first parameter is the particle we want to spawn. And I'm going to use the portal particle. So that's the particle you can see near a nether portal. So when you spawn vanilla particles, you do it like this. We're going to, after the break, take a look on how we can make our own particle, but we'll see that we can't spawn them in the same way. We're going to create them in sort of the same way, but not entirely. So we'll have to work around the limitations of the vanilla code. We can't access we can't access that code to add our own particles. We'll set up something ourselves. It's going to work just as fine. It's maybe even going to work better, but we'll have to set up something for it. But like I said, that's after the break. Now we'll take a look on the block that I just created. Okay, so then we take a look at this block of poison, and if I place it now and place a few of these, nothing happens. That's peculiar. Do I have the particles on? Yes, where are those? I can't even find them there. Particles all. So why isn't it spawning any particles? Let's take a look in the code. So what I have here is obviously the location of the block here, like that. But look at that. That's totally wrong. So what this did was basically, instead of giving it a motion between minus 0.5 and plus 0.5, we get a motion that is like, well, I don't know, 500, and as you can guess, it's going to, well, just fly away before we can see it. So if something isn't working, you didn't know what it wasn't working, just take a look if you wrote everything all right. If you haven't wrote everything all right, then you just fix it. Otherwise, you will have to take a closer look what's going on. But it's a very easy mistake to do. If you type something wrong and try to find, oh right, where's my logic wrong, where it could just be that I typed something wrong. But there we go. This looks much better. So now I get those particles there, and as you can see, it's the particles from the portal, the Nether portal. And as we also can see, they are flying a bit randomly. They have different sizes. They fly a bit in different directions as well. So we give it a location and a motion to use, but then the particle itself, it can just scrap those motions, so it won't really get the motions I gave it. As you can see, they are all going downwards, and that's because, well, all of them are well, the portal particle, I should say, is modifying the motion. We give it a motion and it's going to use that for sure, but it's also going to modify it in its own way to make it look like a good portal effect. After the break, like I said, we'll take a look on how we can set up our own type of particle and see how we can spawn that. But like I said, that's after the break. I'll see you in 15 minutes.